Well, welcome everyone. My name is Pelelani Ngubane, and I am part of an organization called Be Smart SA, which is an organization that focuses on trying to help build the next generation of accountants, auditors, including bookkeepers. And again, today on our show, we have Iviwe Matrose. How are you, Iviwe?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Well, I want to thank you first for just being available today for us to have a chat. And I think it is very important that we had this call today and looking forward to getting to know you and to getting to know your journey as a professional. But first things first, I think a lot of people would want to get to know you or on a personal level. Well, tell us a bit about your background. Who is Iviwe Matrose?
So, I'm Iviwe. I'm 27.
Uh,
Just a bit on my educational background first before we get into the professional side of things. I studied
yeah.
at Mangosuthu. I did a diploma in custom management accounting, and
Yes.
then I went on to do my advanced diploma in custom management accounting, which then gave
Yeah.
me the opportunity to be awarded a bursary to start with my CIMA board exams. So
All
I
right.
started with my CIMA board exams, operational level, and then I went on to strategic level where I am now.
Yeah.
And then professionally, I'm someone who got an opportunity to do a graduate program with one of the biggest manufacturing pharmaceutical companies in South
Yeah.
Africa. So that's where I got involved in as part of a costing team where it's full costing function in a manufacturing space, which I think is
Mm.
where costing thrives the most. Um, on a more personal level, I'm just someone that likes studying,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Um, I'm someone who's very goal oriented. I'm quite
Mm.
hardworking and quite introverted as well when
Yeah.
I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that view. And I think again, people will be more interested into just trying to get to know you as well on a personal level. Where are you from? They
Um,
just want to know about that as well.
I am. I was born in Stexbridge, which is in the Eastern Cape, the outskirts of Eastern Cape, just after Bloemfontein. 200 kilometers
Yeah.
from Bloemfontein is where I'm from, where I was born. But I grew up
Yeah.
in Mpumalanga, Secunda, which is where I grew up and finished my matric, which then I later moved to Durban for studying. But I've been
Mm.
around South Africa quite a bit. I'm single
Yeah.
and unmarried. I don't have any children.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it for the most part.
I think you have shared like a lot there, and people will now get to know you at a personal level, and that is basically why one of my questions that I would always ask whenever I have interviews, so that people can get to relate to the person that I'm interviewing at
Yeah.
that time. So now another thing that I would just want to get to know about you, man. Please tell us a bit about your experience in the accounting world, and again, how was the transition from being a student to joining corporate?
Yeah. I think as I said, I started my professional journey at
Mm.
a pharmaceutical manufacturing company where I was a
Yeah.
CIMA graduate. This is
Mm.
just after I'd completed my one of the levels. So the transition between studies and the professional environment was quite interesting, especially for me at the time,
Yeah.
because I was not exposed. You know, when you're studying, you learn how IFRS works. You learn that if
Yeah.
you debit this, you credit this,
Yeah.
or if you do this, this is the implication of that. But in a normal working environment, it was quite an adjustment to make because firstly, you're accountable to so many other people, and things are not as straightforward as it is in the books. It's not
Yeah.
debit this, credit this, or it's not
Yeah.
the balance sheet must balance like this in this way. So it was
Yeah.
quite an interesting adjustment for me, I'll say. But I obviously had a very amazing team at the time that helped
Mm.
me assimilate into the environment. And I think in a manufacturing space, when you're dealing mainly with costing, you are able to get exposure in so many different parts of the company just through the
Yeah.
costing side of it. And because it's a manufacturing company, you're exposed to the factory side of things.
Yeah.
You're
Operations.
yeah, the
Yeah.
operations dealing a lot with the managers. You're dealing a lot with the head of departments. So that
Yeah.
exposes you at the very early stages of your career, and I think that has been very crucial in me as um integrating into now the professional environment from the academia part of it.
Yeah, I think that is something that is quite interesting because I do not have any background in costing. The only background that I have is on the academic side when I used to facilitate cost accounting. But in terms of work experience, I haven't been on
Yeah,
that part of basically of the accounting. And just getting some information from you from what you just explained is some sort of like makes sense. I can make sense what I used to teach students
yeah,
and to what you just explained now and how the costing will then now merge with the other like departments, if I may say, just like operations and all of that. And I think it's something that is very interesting, and I think a lot of students would want to get exposed into such things, you know. And
yeah,
I also have like one of the questions that I always like to ask as part of my interviews. So I know that now women are now occupying high spaces in corporate. So who's that one woman that you looked up to, and tell us a bit about them and including maybe
yeah.
their contribution in the industry?
Um, so it's been really hard, to be
Yeah,
honest, trying to find that kind of mentorship
mm,
in different workspaces, especially because for the most part, most of the companies that I worked with were not really
yeah,
female dominated. And
yeah,
so it's when you start getting exposure to social media and stuff like that, where you actually get to see people who are where you want
mm,
to be, especially women who are leaders in the industry. So
yeah,
I recently not recently, but I came across a lady by the name of Umpo Apane. She's an ACMA, CGMA. She's also trying to write her APC right now to qualify as a chartered accountant as well. And I
mm,
think having looked up to her and her contribution to the industry has what has been fueling me for the most part, because
yeah,
it's where I want to be as well. So I think she's worked for multiple multinational companies. She has worked in different roles. She's currently a lead revenue controller or revenue analyst in one
yes,
of the
mm,
biggest manufacturing sites in South Africa. So I think those
yeah,
are some of the people, and she's quite open on her platforms and very informative on her social media platforms when it comes to people who want to do CIMA, people who want to merge into the CASA route, and people who are just in cost accounting. So I think she's one of the people that I've looked at and truly admired from afar. Hopefully that
mm,
one day I'd get to know her on a more personal level
yeah,
and
okay.
interact. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think you've just shared something that is very important to say
Yeah.
that whatever you do, someone is always watching, you know, just like how you
Yeah.
say that you are inspired by this lady, even though you guys are not that close, but
Yeah.
you wish that one day maybe you get to meet them and also just to interact with them and connect with them as they are one of the people that we are looking up to, you know. And I
Yeah.
think it's something that we also need to emphasize in the society to say that always do good because anyone might be watching, anyone might be
Yeah.
looking at your journey, might be looking at your career and be like, I want to be this person in a few years to
Yeah.
come, you know.
Yeah,
So just getting,
mentorship is
mm,
actually so important, especially
yeah,
in the professional space. You need to have people that you can look up to. You need to have people that have walked the journey that you're walking, firstly,
yeah,
or that can help guide you, or people that just believe in you. When you're pursuing your studies, you're writing your board exams,
yeah,
doing this and that. There can be failure in that. There can be so many things that can distract you, but you always need people who have walked that journey that will be able to
mm,
guide you. And I think that's what is most important about mentorship and getting someone who can guide you in those ways. I mean, I don't have one yet, but I'm definitely looking for someone
yeah.
that can guide me. I think that is very
Mm.
important.
I think it's another thing that I also had a conversation about with my students that
Yeah,
I help that are still busy with their accounting journeys. That I always tell them that try to find someone that will basically guide you so that you
yeah,
can know things far in advance because a lot of things we get to know about them once you are in the industry and
true.
in most cases it is late. I can't say too late, I can say it's late because if I were to have all the knowledge that I have now and I had all of this knowledge maybe back then when I was still a student, maybe university, I would have like made something out of it, you know. So hence that is why we have platforms like this where we try to share our journeys, try to share our stories so that other people can get informed and also they can look up to it's not because we just want to be on the spotlight, but because we are trying to help them into being better professionals, you know. And another thing that I just wanted to know, you have just mentioned something about CIMA, that you are still busy with your CIMA. Like for a student that is not aware of this or that needs more information on this, what is the CIMA accreditation, and
Yeah.
what are the opportunities that the CIMA accredited members are getting on the market? All right.
Yeah. I'll answer that question by just talking about how I heard about it or how I became knowledgeable about it.
Yeah.
So when I first got to varsity, um, unfortunately I didn't land into the financial accounting diploma that I wanted.
Yeah.
And they put me in ECP instead. So I went and tried to inquiry that, and there was only space in cost accounting. And
Yeah.
even at that time, I'm someone who plans way ahead most of the time.
Yeah.
So being in a different stream meant for me that I can't be a chartered accountant at the time, at
Yeah.
least. I can't be a chartered
Yeah.
accountant. So it was important for me, even at that stage, to research. So I did a lot of research. I emailed so many institutions to try and figure
Yeah.
out, what do I do with this career? And I think that is so important for anyone who is coming up, for you to know what you are going to do with whatever qualification you're doing. Where will it
Yeah.
take you? How will you get there? What steps should you take to get there? So
Yeah.
that's when I came to the knowledge of what CIMA is and how I can go about it. So when I did my diploma, that was in my head. I'm going to be
Mm.
a CGMA. I did my advanced
Yeah.
diploma because I knew that it would give me accreditations with
Mm.
CIMA. And then I went on to get, fortunately, a bursary to pursue my CIMA. So what CIMA is an internationally recognized chartered institution for management accountants,
Mm.
where it's not only recognized in South Africa, it's coming up quite well in South Africa, in the sense that a lot of people are hearing about it, and a
Yeah.
lot of people now are doing it because it's sort of, there's a leeway, a pathway into the CASA designation as well.
Yeah.
But it's a freestanding body for management accountants, in the same way that SAICA is for chartered accountants within South Africa. But for this one,
Mm.
it's more internationally recognized, originally from the UK. That's what
Yeah.
CIMA is. And the kind of opportunities, well, talking from my end, my first graduate program, I only got into that because I had just finished CIMA, one level of
Yeah.
CIMA. So it has opened opportunities for me, not only in just getting a foot in the door, but it has given me so much exposure to so many different things. My whole role and my whole idea of doing CIMA, when I actually got into it, was I want to do this because I want to have a broader knowledge of the business. I want to be a business partner. I don't want to focus on the financial accounting side. I loved financial accounting as a module,
Yeah.
but I didn't, I felt like it was too stringent. It was too IFRS and IS, and I felt like I
Too
wanted,
specialized, you know?
yes, I felt like I wanted exposure to how the business as a whole functions, and how I can help influence decisions, how I can help um, higher ups or directors and managers to
Mm.
come to the correct decisions. I mean, when you think about it, when you're doing CIMA or when you're doing cost accounting, you read about things like make or buy decisions, do this decisions. But in a practical sense, though, that is something that you actually do in a professional environment, because decisions are supposed to be made based on that. So that's what
Yeah.
CIMA is. For me, it's not just a qualification, an accounting qualification. It's being a business partner. It's being able to influence decisions, being able to sit at the table and advise and be dependent on, to make decisions, to continue contracts, to start contracts, to take on
Yeah.
new jobs, and stuff like that. That's what CIMA is to me, and what he has done to me. And the kind of exposure I just know is so much broad. I'm not where
Yeah.
I think the qualification can get me yet, but I do know that it's so broad, and it has the potential to get you in any position
All right.
within the
I
finance
think
department and in a managerial position. Mm.
I think you have just shared really like inspiring words there in terms of how SEMA means to you, or what SEMA means to you, and how you are going to use it to basically be the type of a professional that you want to be, And again, I want you to more like drill down as to what can someone expect when they wanna take on this journey
Yeah.
to register as a CIMA. So I think it's very important that we try to be detailed there so that
Yes.
students will be aware in terms of what to expect. There are stages. I know there are stages,
Yes.
but what to expect? I want us
Mm.
to also focus more on that.
Yeah. So CIMA is, it does not need you to have a degree. It does not need
Mm,
you to have a diploma. It has different
yeah.
levels. So you start at certificate level. A person just coming out of matric can start doing the CIMA course by studying at the certificate level, where you're introduced to the different modules, and then it goes on to the operational level. If you do have a diploma or a degree, they do give you exemptions to start a bit further up, depending on the qualification that you have, depending on the course syllabus that you guys used. So a
Okay.
lot of universities are CIMA accredited, which means that whatever qualification you have, even if you've had a qualification for 5 years now and you have not
Mm,
known what to do with it, and it's a finance qualification, they
yeah.
can accredit you to the different stages. So as I said, you start at certificate level, which is mostly for people that have just come out of matric. And then
Okay.
you have operational level, which is where if you have a diploma sometimes, or an advanced diploma, you can start at operational level, depending on where you got your diploma or advanced diploma from.
Yeah.
And then you have management level. Management level is where most people with bachelor's degrees, BCom accounting degree, BAc, or even honors degrees start. So you start at management level. This is where they see you as a, when you're writing the case study, for example, you're seen as the financial manager. So the
Mm,
coursework, the case studies, and everything you prepare for, you prepare it in the capacity of a financial manager. And then we
mm,
move on to the last level, which is the strategic level. This is where you are seen as the senior financial manager, or the senior finance officer, where you are now advising the board, you are part of ESCO, for example. So those are the four levels of CIMA. People who start CIMA, as I said, can start with any qualification at any stage of their careers. I will mention that your experience does impact which exemptions you get. So if you
mm,
are someone that has 10 years experience, for example, you would get specific exemptions that stop you from writing, let's say, the three tests before the case study. And for people who have over 10 years, I think, you don't get if I get the designation today, I'm going to be an associate management accountant with CIMA. For someone who has had maybe tons of years of experience, has been in managerial positions, maybe is currently a CFO, but never really got a designation, professional designation, those
mm,
kind of people
yeah.
with that vast level of experience can qualify as FCMA CGMAs. Those are
Mm,
fellows with CIMA. So CIMA is so open to anyone that wants to do it. I will say that the pricing can be a bit high when you want to
mm,
pursue it, but it is so worth it. At whatever level you start on, it gives you so much access as well to 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 not only complete your studies in a
mm,
shorter space of time, but to it has stamped that even though you have completed it in a short space of time, it is quite a well worth it qualification to do.
mm.
I
I
don't know if I
think
explained it
again,
properly.
now I think I was about to say that you have represented your accreditation in the best way possible, like the way that you
Thanks.
explained it to me right now, it's also like inspires me. Like the way that you just explained it to me, I feel like yes, this thing is doable. And I think because I'm also aware of it and I've searched about it and I'm also on my journey as well of my CIMA. So basically, I think it's also very important that we also have to mention the fact that you can basically get work at any level. You see, meaning if maybe you're at operational level, once you're done with operational level, you'd get a certain certificate that will say you
Yes,
have
you
a
do.
diploma now. Yeah,
Yes.
so once you
Operational
get
level,
now, yeah.
yeah. Operational
So
level is a diploma in management accounting. Management level is your advanced
mm,
diploma in management accounting, and then the last level, which is the actual qualification. And I forgot to mention that when there are different routes to doing CIMA as well. You can do
Yeah.
it the traditional way, where you are doing three subjects, so to call them. You're doing three subjects, which qualifies you to write the case study. After writing the case study, that's when you can qualify and get the certificate. But that's how it
Yeah.
works. It's the three modules, the case study, and then you qualify to move on to the next. Or you can do it through the FLP route, which is more competency based, meaning that it's continuous learning. You are not really being tested specifically in a testing environment for each module or each subject, but it's continuous learning up and preparing you mostly for the case study.
Mm. Yeah, I think again it is very important that we had to like mention that, because a lot of people will say, yes, you just mentioned that maybe it's costly to do this and it might take time, it might take years because of the cost involved, and also it might take years because of the content that you need to cover and all of the
Yes.
things and life, because there is a lot of
Yeah.
things that we are dealing with in life. It's not only about studying, you know. So it
Mm.
was very important that we also mentioned the fact that at any level that you have completed, you would get a certificate that will grant you the opportunity to start applying. You know, you do not
Yes.
need to wait until you are qualified as a CIMA at the end, but the
Mm.
first level, the second level, which is basically the operational, will grant you a diploma, and the second level, which is a management, it will grant you an advanced diploma. You know, and
Yes.
the third one would some sort of like being equivalent to honors, because the
Yes.
next qualification that you can do masters, because
True.
again a lot of people are doing that now. The CIMA accredited members are now moving on from just finishing CIMA, they do a masters in accounting, you know. So I think it is
Yes.
very important that we mention that in this platform, so that people would be aware of all of these things, you know. And as part of the things that you also mentioned when we were chatting with regards to our CIMA accreditation, now we know that CIMA and SICA, just like how you have explained, those are separate standing accounting bodies, all right, that are
Yeah.
both operating here in South Africa, and they are
Yes.
recognized here in South Africa. And again, and both of them, they do have an agreement as to say that, listen, if you want to be a CN and you are already qualified as a CIMA member, you can reach and write your APC exam to become a CASA. I just want to get your take on that.
That was obviously a very big step towards the right direction, because it
Yeah.
helped SEMA be recognized by other people as well, that there is something like this, and it
Mm.
is beneficial for you, and it is obviously at the levels of CASA as well. So
Yeah.
for me, I think it's important for people to know what that entails, what
Mm.
the agreement entails. Firstly, it requires that you have a bachelor's degree,
Mm.
NQF level 7 degree, from a recognized institute, obviously. And secondly, it requires that you are completely CIMA qualified, meaning that you have done all your exams, you have submitted your practical experience requirements, and you have
Yeah.
gained the CGMA designation prior
Yeah.
to you applying on the other side for chartered accountancy. I think
Mm.
this has been quite innovative. I don't know if not to call it innovative, but it's a step towards the right direction, because
Mm.
recognition, especially by a board as respectable as CASA, means that CIMA professionals are just as good at what they do, that the two bodies can merge. In the same way that a CIMA a professional can move into the CASA designation, the same
Yeah.
thing can happen for CASAs who want dual designation with CGMAs as well, where they would only need to write the strategic case study in order to get dual designation, in the same way
Mm.
that I, as a SEMA professional, will need to write the APC in order for me to get the CASA designation, and therefore the dual designation CASA CGMA.
Yeah.
I think it's very important, and it has opened up so many people into now not wanting to really complete psycha with psycha
Yeah.
steps and moving this
Yeah.
side. And with regards to that, um, CIMA is CIMA is difficult because it's based on a specific syllables. And so
Yeah.
is CASA. Obviously, CASA is quite rigorous and it's quite intense, and CIMA is more at your own pace and stuff like that. So I would love it when if people would also see that it's not an easy way out.
mm,
It's it's you. It's not an easy way out, and I think the idea of that makes it seem like the CIMA qualification is not as
yeah.
highly regarded as it actually is. It's a highly regarded
It's very
qualification,
important.
and
Yeah.
you would not just be just let me just do this quickly so I can do this. It requires a lot from you as well. It requires your time. It requires a lot of understanding, a lot of patience as well, and application. So I think when because we can merge now from one designation to the other, it opens us up to much more opportunities, which is what we really need. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you have just explained this thing like the way that I wanted it to be explained, so that
Yeah.
people who are watching this will be able to know basically about all of these things again.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that we need to also emphasize out here to say that these things are very important, and being a CIMA accredited member, it's something that's really big. If you just want to search more about it, take your time, search about it, look at the posts that are coming out. They would say, I want to get someone to be a financial manager, but that person must have a CIMA accreditation or must have a
Or
psych
seriously.
accreditation, or maybe can be a professional accountant, so things like that. So it is very important that also by or by the people that are watching, or by the people that are recruiters, they
Yeah.
see these recognitions or these accounting bodies as most of like at the same level when you're applying, so it is very important that we also tell people that they also need to search about it. Go look on the posts that are being posted on LinkedIn. Go look at posts that are posted on Postnet, on Pnet,
Yes.
and look at posts that are posted on Indeed, and see that whenever they are looking for professionals to lead the accounting function, to lead the departments
Yes.
of accountings, they will be looking for CIMA accredited members. They will be looking for
Yes.
CASAs. They will be looking for professional accountants. So it is very important that we put it out there that these accreditations are very important. And number two, they
Yeah.
open doors.
Yeah. And I think, to be fair, I have seen quite a shift from the time that I wanted to do CIMA to now in how people
Mm,
perceive CIMA. For the most part, when I was thinking about it, this is 2018. When I was thinking
yeah,
about it and researching about it, I didn't know about it either, to be honest, because
yeah,
there was not much representation. I do think a lot of people are now CIMA qualified. I constantly see on LinkedIn and such platforms people getting their designations, doing this. I do think that now it's a bit better, but
mm,
it can get even better than that, where people
yeah,
at fundamental stages you are told of your options. If you're doing accounting, you can be this, you can be that, you can be that. You don't
yeah,
have to think of accounting as one specific route. Accounting is so
yeah.
broad. You can get into project accounting, cost accounting, management accounting, financial reporting, analysis, all those things. It's so vast, and people don't know about it, which is
Mm.
what for me the biggest problem is. If people knew a bit more about it, then we would have more people that are able to spread the message as well, so that students right now or people in matric right now can have an understanding. Imagine if you had gotten into varsity and you already knew that, okay, I'm going to do CFA.
Yeah.
You get into varsity, you do a degree, and you've always known that you want to do CFA. So
Mm,
you are writing the boards, you are doing this, you are applying specifically into banking or whatever industry, because that's where you want to go. That would
mm.
make the accounting as an industry so much more better, because everyone would know exactly their opportunities and what is available to them, and there wouldn't be spaces where people are not knowledgeable about. So it's a niched environment. Yeah.
I think what you just explained basically has taken out one of the questions that I wanted to ask. I just wanted to ask as well that from just you seeing things, why do you think it is very important that we create platforms like this where we bring
Yeah.
awareness and also mentorship to the young and the upcoming generation of accountants? And you have just answered that question by saying that if they were to know about these things earlier, they will be taking decisions or making decisions that would
Yeah.
help them be better people, and also it will take them less time to get where they want to be.
Yes.
Because a lot of us have been on the industry, but we have tried this. Then from there we are like, I learned about a new thing. This one is
Yes.
better. Then you move there. Then when you are
Yes.
there, you're like, there's something that is better. But if you maybe had all of this information from the start, you would have like chosen a career path that works for you, you know?
Yeah, Pelani, it's so important.
Mm,
I've been really passionate about like something like that because I come from a university which is mostly underprivileged people or people that come from emakaya. So
mm,
sometimes people really do not have exposure, and universities at times I do feel that, especially universities like where I went to, they don't really put initiatives in, especially into the departments to help children, to help students align better with where they want to
mm,
go, give
mm,
them options, have expos where they are told about different things. CIMA is there, SICA is there, CFA, everything is there, and they have options and they know what they can get into. And when we have platforms like this, it's easier for people, for the word to spread. It's easier for someone who's at MUT right now, who is at VUT, TUT, and these universities of technologies to know what they can do with their qualifications. Because
mm,
unfortunately, the accounting industry can be saturated in positions that are not in positions that don't require professional designation, so to say. It can be quite saturated because you're going to finish your diploma, you're going to finish your advanced diploma, and then you're going to get into be a creditor or be debtors clerk or get into bookkeeping. But you must remember that some of these positions don't require people to have an actual university qualification. So
mm,
how are you standing out in those environments? How are you being seen beyond those roles if you, that's what you want?
mm,
So it's important for them to not only do their qualification, finish their qualifications in record time or whatever, but it's important for them to be aligned even from the start. That universities spread the word. Universities put it out there. Put organizations like Get Smart in those spaces where you are able to go and talk to them and tell them this is this is what I've been exposed to.
mm,
I studied where you studied, I've done this and that, and this is
mm.
what I think you should be doing. It's so much easier for students to follow suit when they have examples of where they come from or examples of what is out there.
Mm. Well, I think you've just explained this thing better, and just like how you just mentioned this thing has been like on my mind for some time to say that I also need to think about visiting universities. I also need to think about being part of universities as a guest lecturer, where we just sit down and explain to students on and advise them and some sort of like provide mentorship to them so that they will be aware of these things at an early
Yeah.
stage. Because the problem is that a lot we have people who have taken their different career paths, but they are not really aware of what they should expect in that path, and also on how they can find ways to make it work. Because at the end of the day,
Yes.
whatever you choose will never be easy.
Yeah.
Whatever you choose to take, it won't be just a straight road that would be fun, and you'd end up being a CASA, or you'd end up being a CIMA accredited member. You'd end up being a professional accountant without you having some challenges on the way. So you need people to guide you. You need people to hold your hand. You need people to look up to. And I think it's very important that we also have platforms like this. And thank you again for taking your time, for us to have these chats. And I think it was very important. And as one of the questions that I would normally ask at the
Mhm.
end, I would ask someone to give an advice. So basically, what
Yeah.
advice would you give to a young black woman that has still that belief to say that some dreams are bigger than her?
Firstly, I'm also still a young black woman.
Mm. Yeah.
So maybe advice I would give
I think,
myself. I think
yeah.
advice I would give myself. I'm not fully qualified yet. I'm about to
Mm,
write my last board exam. And
mm,
what I've seen is that sometimes when your dreams are not, like the saying where your dreams are not big enough if they don't scare you,
mm,
that saying has rang through true for me in my career, in
mm,
my academic journey as well. That we must choose to not be comfortable with the least that we can get. Especially for people, if you know that you don't come from the best background, you don't come from well-off background, it's important for you to not settle for the minimum.
Yeah.
Dreaming, if it does not scare you, it is definitely not big enough. I never knew that I would have opportunities that I've had, or been exposed to the kind of environments that I have, and I can see that my horizon is so bright, and there's so much more coming my way. But for where I am right now and the things that I have done already, I do feel like education has opened wide doors for me. And I do believe that for anyone who's dreaming and wanting to get anywhere, get your education. And there's nothing that you can't do if you can put your mind to it. I think at most that's what I can say. If you can put your mind to it, then it is achievable for you.
Well, if you, I don't want to take too much of your time. Like you have done justice to me. So like I really wanted this to be some sort of like an interview where people would get to learn from it. And I have basically achieved that from you. And I would like to thank you for being available for us to have a chat today. And I wanna say again, good luck on your professional journey, and also keep on trying to pour on other people's cup, because at the end of the day you do not know who's going to be opening your doors in the future. All right, so thank you,
And I
Iviwe,
would
and
please, Pelelani,
mm,
before we close off, I just want to
mm,
say, I would
yeah.
like everyone who's doing accounting, I would advise anyone to do CIMA at
Yeah.
any stage, at any point. Um, there are facet bursaries that come out through the institutions. Apply for
Mm,
those bursaries. You can get lucky. You can get them. Just
mm.
do CIMA. Just do CIMA.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Iviwe. I think a lot of people will be convinced, like the way
I
that
hope
you
I'm
are
convincing
confident
enough.
about it.
Like,
Yeah.
just do it. Just do it, please.
Yeah. All right. Or if you were, or thank you again for taking your time to just have a chat with us today. And I will see you in the near future.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Pelelan, for your time.
Oh, thank you, sis. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Be Smart SA. Accounting professionals you can trust. Reach out to our consultants.